tēnā koe te pika. First of all, what I would like to do is take the opportunity to do what we couldn't do in front of the Privileges Committee. Nothing that we ever do as Te Pāti Māori is accidental. It is very purposeful, very measured and very deliberate. So when we have a situation in this case, and I love what my whanaunga has shared, but what we're confronting here is a government who has a very anti-Māori, anti-Tiriti, anti-woman, anti-rainbow agenda.
That's true.
And we need to, as a party, put up what it is that we were contending with and actually show what power really did when it saw that we weren't reacting the way they wanted to. We have a Prime Minister, a national-led government who traded with Te Tiriti for the Principles Bill, even though it wasn't a bottom line. We have an ACT party with a leader whose values match and align with the Atlas agenda, who silence the voices of Indigenous people. So I want to be like this. I want to turn up and know that we can fight for our party and it's going to get a fair go. But it doesn't in this space, and nor is the rest of Māori that are having to contend with the clawing back, the dismantling of your own services that Labour put out. This isn't Te Pāti Māori having its tantrum. This battle started here by the very people who are crying, poor me, woe me, help me. The government used their legislative might in this House to takahi our whakapapa and our tiriti. We didn't. And they didn't like it when we used our whakapapa and our tiriti to hit back at the might of the legislative power. That was not a battle Māori decided to start. This is not about disorder. This was just about us standing in our truth. And you can see the dynamics of Te Ao Māori, like everyone else. We don't agree on everything. But we have a generation coming through that I don't see in any other party, including Labour. And absolutely we've got our whaia that tell us we should be like this, but we've also got our rangatahi tapping at us saying, where am I fitting in this place? Where does Hana belong? You don't have that burden. You don't have that responsibility because none of you are bringing anyone else through. We were referred to a system and a committee that was already known and was already outspoken in its public opinions of Māori. And let me just bear with that. We had a committee made up, the Privileges Committee, who we referred to, who are a public record of anti-Māori sentiments. Judith Collins, the chair, has called Māori health equity segregation and attacked Māori wards as undemocratic. Winston Peters, who questioned whether Māori are even Indigenous, mocking our identity and indeed our whakapapa. And Louise Lupton, who's busy penalising the poor. The truth is, the court of law would never have let this crowd through to predetermine and prejudge us because they would have been called a mistrial. They wouldn't have made it. So we have a government majority committee, and I agree with what my whanaunga said in Labour. The committee has lost its way. It is government agendaed, government driven, and we went in there knowing this bias. We went into that process knowing this bias. You can Google what I'm saying. No one had to be in Parliament to know this bias. We went in there and so we asked Parliament to hear us. We asked for tikanga experts, denied. We asked that Hana-Rāwhiti not face double jeopardy. We actually went and met with the Speaker, as she quite rightfully said, ignored. We asked to be heard together as a party. That too was refused. We asked for legal counsel to be properly included, blocked. Do not tell me that Te Pāti Māori wasn't sitting here trying to meet you halfway, 3/4 of the way, all of the way. Every time we asked to be measured in a way that we knew the bias wasn't going to be predetermined and the judgment made, it was refused. I refuse to sit here and pretend that we didn't make 5 appeals knowing the government's bias. And you ask why we didn't attend. Instead, what we confronted was a government who allowed its comm spin to falsely go out and say the vote wasn't completed. The bill couldn't advance. There was no delay. What they're really trying to say is we disrupted the comfort of this government, who's had a free run sit there and do emergency. We'll sit there and have an emergency run on this. We'll do crazy timing on this. We won't have a discussion and public consultation on this bill. And then we had the demonising. The demonising of Māori. The demonising of my wiri. The demonising of my fingers. And we were made to look violent on purpose. And yet you're the ones, this government's the ones that's doing the gun wars and doing the boot camps and reinvesting in military might and trying to mine to be able to sit there and give more blinking military weight. The hypocrisy of this place. But I want to tell you what I'm really why Rawiri and I made our decisions. Because we saw the bullying of our youngest MP. And I don't care how you live with your truth. We saw you humiliated because she went viral. Billions of views saw what this place was about. You were so cruel to our youngest MP. The chair actually had her in tears one time in here because she spoke in English, her second language. She referred to her iPad and that got interrupted. We saw, we're not stupid. You don't get to become descendants of resistance and not know and see what's happening to her. We saw language deliberately being used, and I want to sit there and make sure I get this right. The chair of this committee said, the haka lacks civility. The same term used in Atlas, the same term used in 19th century debates when Māori were called savages, unfit for parliamentary order. In fact, in the 1860s, colonial MPs argued that Māori could not participate in Parliament because they lacked the civil capacity to engage with proper legislative conduct. The violence. I mean, I am the least violent of us all. We were cast not as just representatives of our people, but agitators, extremists, emotional, unruly, intimidating with weaponised fingers. This was all a blinking play out for everyone else to see. But you can do that to Rawiri and I, but not to our youngest, beautiful, respectful rangatahi. And what we then saw was the racial profiling, where even the haka, after all its years of representing this nation, had a whole nother second meaning. This was masterclass in how power reveals itself under pressure and how we resort to what we know because everything we threaten is everything that this place is comfortable with. This house needs to change. This house needs to represent the people it was put here for, and it doesn't. We've got a government that can't tell the difference between tikanga and crime, a government that treats Māori defiance as disorder and abuse of power, a government that fears Māori unity. This committee is not fit for purpose. And that is the proposition by Te Pāti Māori. There is a tikanga committee that should have enacted this decision, this discussions, and looked for this feedback. And I put that challenge back to my whanaunga. We would not be in this boat if the tikanga committee and the standing orders committee truly redressed what was going on and were able to make room for when we have such an extreme right-wing government as we do now. Where are the safety mechanisms for hana? Where are the safety mechanisms for a marginalised party? Where are the safety mechanisms for a party that doesn't agree and in fact is under attack by the very government that is ruling it, judging it, deciding its fate? We came in and we told our people, we are not the moderate, we are not the incremental party, we're the transformational party because our people are hurting so much and so are our communities. We don't have the luxury of time to do this incrementally. We all came in and said that we would be the unapologetic Māori party. And you know, when you know that the foundations of your house are rotten, you've got to stop trying to build on those rotten foundations. If this is the cost of peace, and this is the cost of Te Tiriti, and this is the cost of what we have to endure now, so we make it better for the next generation out there coming through, ka pai. We wear it. We didn't ask any of you to do anything different. And nowhere is this recommendation telling us to do anything different. So stop introducing other views. If we got on with each other, if you had got a mihi atu, we were stitched up. And we're used to it. And we will wear this unapologetically. And I really don't care what the right-wing government says, because it overused and abused its power in this committee, and it used it for political purpose. Kia ora.